Welcome to this discussion of MLA style. What do you need to know? My name is Brian Billings, and today we'll discuss how to use the Modern Language Association style to write an essay. Today we'll take a look at style in MLA, formatting your MLA document, including a sample title page, MLA style InText Citations, including sample sources, block quotes, and paraphrasing, the Works Cited page, and some references and useful resources for using MLA style. Let's begin with a discussion of style. The MLA handbook outlines not only formatting and referencing rules, but also guides particular elements of your document's style. I've outlined some of the most pertinent of these guidelines for you in this presentation. However, this list is not exhaustive. First, we'll talk about how to format names of persons in MLA. The first time you refer to a person in your text, state it fully and exactly as it appears in your source. Do not take personal liberty by dropping junior, a hyphen from a last name, or a middle or first initial. After the initial mention, you may refer to the individual by his or her last name. Do not use formal titles, no matter how famous the person may be, such as Dr., Professor, Mr., or Mrs. In some instances of people of nobility, full title may be appropriate at first mention. Consult your other sources to see how scholars in the discipline refer to the individual. You should also pay close attention to your number formatting in MLA. Use the numeral form for numbers over 100, but never begin a sentence with a numeral. Always use numerals in conjunction with abbreviations or symbols, addresses, dates, decimal fractions, and divisions. Referring to dates and decades can be especially tricky. Here are some of the general MLA style rules. Number 1. Spell out centuries in lowercase. Number 2. Hyphenate centuries when using them as adjectives. Number 3. Use 2 hyphens when referring to multiple centuries as adjectives. Number 4. Spell out decades in either lowercase or as figures, but be consistent throughout your document. Now let's talk about how to format your MLA document. Most academic papers have 3 major components: title page, body, and references. Here are some general formatting rules to remember. Number 1. Use Times New Roman 12-point font. Number 2. Make sure the paper is double-spaced. Number 3. Use 1-inch margins on all sides. Number 4. MLA does not use a separate title page. Number 5. Your first page should include your name, your instructor's name, the course title, and the date in day, month, year format. Number 6. Center your title. Don't use bolding, quotation marks, underlining, or italics unless another published work appears in your title. Number 7. Include your last name followed by a space and the page number in the right-hand side of your header. All pages should have this header, including the Works Cited page. Here is a sample of the first page of an MLA document. Now let's talk about how to format your InText citations. Whenever you include a paraphrase, a summary, or a direct quotation of another writer in your paper, prepare your reader for it with an introduction called a signal phrase. In MLA, a signal phrase names the author of the source and normally includes a page number. Remember, MLA style calls for present tense verbs to introduce source material in the signal phrase. Let's take a look at a sample text. We'll use a passage from Critical Pedagogy and Personal Struggles, Feminist Scholarship Outside Women's Studies by Deborah Langen and Deborah Davidson. Here's an example of how to cite from this source using a signal phrase. Because the author's names are listed prior to the citation using a signal phrase, I don't need to place them inside the InText citation. Also, note the page number immediately following the quotation. That number is crucial to an internal InText parenthetical MLA citation. Since this work has two authors, let's look at how to cite a work with 2 or 3 authors in an InText citation with a signal phrase and without a signal phrase. Name both authors in the signal phrase or parentheses each time you cite the work. Use the word "and" in both approaches to indicate 2 or 3 authors, rather than the ampersand, which is acceptable in other styles. Now let's look at how to cite a longer selection of text. If the quote you include takes up 4 or more typed lines, convert the quote to the block format by 1. Indenting the quote starting with a new line, 2. Dropping the quotation marks, and 3. Moving the period from outside the citation to directly after the quote. Another common type of citation is a paraphrase, or a restatement of a direct quotation using your own words. Even if you don't use a direct quote, you must still indicate and cite any borrowed material, ideas, research results, or concepts that appear in the form of a paraphrase. Before we move on to the Works Cited page, let's discuss indirect references. What is an indirect reference? When a writer's or a speaker's quoted words appear in a source written by someone else, begin the parenthetical citation with the abbreviation quoted in. Here's an example of an indirect reference. Remember, use indirect references sparingly. One of the most difficult parts of using any formatting style is the references page, or in this case, the Works Cited page. We've learned that each use of a source is indicated by an InText citation. At the end of each document, readers can turn to the Works Cited page to find the source's full publication information for any source the writer has used. When composing your Works Cited page, be certain that sources are listed in alphabetical order by the author's last name, double spacing is retained, the Works Cited page is paginated as continued from the last page of your document text, and all citations end with a period. Here's an example of how your Works Cited page will look. Now let's look at some specific citations. We'll start with formatting book sources. For this type of citation, you'll need the complete names of all authors as published, the book title, the publishing company, and the year of publication. Here's an example of a citation of a book with 1 author. And here's one with 2 authors. This example shows how to include an editor in your citation. Let's look at a few more book citations. Use this citation for a book with an edition other than the first. Use this citation style for a book with an introduction, a preface, a foreword, or an afterword. And this example shows you how to format a book with an organization as the author. Let's take a look at how to format articles. To cite an article, you'll need the following information. Number 1, the complete names of all authors, as published. Number 2, the article title. Number 3, the journal title. Number 4, the volume and issue number, if applicable. Number 5, the year of publication, including a month or season. And number 6, the page range or section. Here's an example of how to cite an article in a peer-reviewed journal. And here's an example of a newspaper article citation. Now let's look at how to cite sources on the internet. To cite these sources, you'll need, number 1, the complete names of all authors or contributors. Number 2, the article title. Number 3, the website title. Number 4, the version, posting, volume or issue numbers or dates. Number 5, the publisher or copywriter. And number 6, the access date. Here's an example of a web source citation. And here's a citation from a journal in an online database. Before you begin writing your paper, here are a few resources that might help. Some websites that you might find useful include: number 1, Diana Hacker's website, which acts as a supplement to her references guidebook. Number 2, the Online Writing Lab at Purdue University, which provides an easy-to-reference guide to citations and example papers. Number 3, the Modern Language Association website for their style guide. And number 4, the University of Wisconsin's online handbook. Some useful books are: number 1, Diana Hacker's A Writer's Reference with its 2016 MLA update. Number 2, Lynn Quitman Troika and Doug Hesse's Quick Access, a Reference for Writers. And number 3, the MLA Handbook, 8th edition. Always remember that the university's writing tutors are happy to answer any questions you might have.